Hi, my name is Nicole McCormack, and this is my author discussion on Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, and is the middle child of three kids. He died on April 4, 1968 at 39 years old. He was shot when he was out on his balcony of a motel located in Memphis, Tennessee. He was in Memphis to support a workers' sanitation strike. The day that he died, President Johnson declared the National Day of Mourning. There were also a lot of riots. MLK attended Morehouse College, where he got a BA in sociology at only 19 years old. And he later attended Boston University School of Theology. At Boston U, he was valedictorian and student body president in 1951. He then became a pastor in Montgomery, Alabama, where he resided with his wife, Coretta Scott King, and their 4 children. MLK was an active leader of the civil rights movement. He led the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955 and the March on Washington in 1963. The Montgomery bus boycott was a 381-day boycott from the public transit system due to segregation on the buses. This boycott put a heavy economic strain on the public transport system as well as the business owners located downtown. This boycott continued until November 1956, when segregated seating was considered unconstitutional. The March on Washington was a march of about 200 to 300,000 people who were marching to Washington, D.C. for better jobs and freedom for African Americans. This was a turning point in the civil rights movement and was a large factor for civil rights passage in 1964. During the March on Washington, MLK delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech on the Lincoln Memorial. This was a call for peace and equality. In 1964, MLK became the youngest person to ever be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. He was also named Man of the Year by Time magazine. Every year on January 20th, MLK Day is celebrated as a national holiday. The Underground Railroad is a novel written by Colson Whitehead in the year 2016. Cora and MLK have a lot of similarities in their paths to find equality. Cora had to be a leader, much like MLK was a leader of the civil rights movement. Cora always judged people based on their kindness and their character. Cora always has a sense of hope in the hard times and knows that she has to keep pushing forward, just like MLK did in order to obtain freedom. Cora's journey is physical and moral. She had to do a lot of physical work in order to get what she wanted, but she always made sure to stay true to herself and her values. MLK had the same mindset, which is why he was able to accomplish so much in his time. Every time that Cora attempts to escape, she witnesses a very horrible death, but she is forced to push it away and focus on reaching freedom. In the novel, Cora is awarded a nice dress and is told she is the best of her race. This is similar to MLK being awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his remarkable achievements. The Intuitionist is a novel that is written by Colson Whitehead in the year 1999, 17 years prior to the writing of the Underground Railroad. Lila May and Martin Luther King Jr. both have very different approaches to reaching their freedom. Lila May dresses up as a caterer for an event being held for elevator inspectors just so she can attend. If it was MLK in this situation, he would have attempted to show up to this event in no disguise. Lila May witnesses the performance of blackface while she is at this event. This is a very important scene because it puts into perspective the way that African Americans are treated. This made me really recognize the works and effort that MLK put into the civil rights movement. At the event, when people begin to realize that it is Lila May dressed in disguise, they start to shun her and she is ignored for the rest of the party. MLK went through similar situations where many people would treat him rudely or not talk to him because he actively was trying to make a change to things. The first ever Women's March took place January 21st, 2017. This was the day after President Trump's inauguration. The goal of the Women's March is to make a transformative social change towards women and how they are treated in society. The goal of the March on Washington is for a social change towards African Americans. They both had similar goals and had a similar plan to reach them. The Women's March had 319 different locations across the United States with about 600 to 700,000 attendees. The March on Washington had about 200 to 300,000 attendees in just one location. As you can see from the pictures on the slide, the marches looked very similar and have left both very similar impressions on the government. These are the 3 sources that I used to get a lot of information for my author discussion. These gave me great insight on Colson Whitehead, Martin Luther King Jr., and the Women's March. Thank you for listening to my author discussion.